Well, hey everybody. Today we're going to take a look at a cool new capo that I discovered a couple weeks ago online. It comes from Hannah Guitars. He's a fellow Canadian out here in Alberta. I'm in Ontario. He's in Beaumont, Alberta. So I noticed this capo online. I was pretty intrigued. I've gone through the different capos for lapsteels and dobros and weissenborns, and I was pretty intrigued. So Brent graciously sent me one out here. Today we're going to take a look at that capo, and we're going to do it while using 4 or 5 different steels I have here, just to give you an idea of how this thing works. It's not going to be a flashy video. It's not going to be like a Beatles documentary, but we'll spend 5 minutes or so looking at this capo. Now the funny thing is, I reached out to Brent, Brent and I connected last week sometime, so he put one in the mail across Canada. It actually showed up 3 days later, and it comes in this awesome little bag. I dig that whole logo and design. It's pretty cool. In any case, let's pull it out here. So here we have the Strut Capo, very solidly made. I like this thing because it appears as though it's all been made with Allen screws. If anything goes wrong on it, be easily repaired, easily fixed. I'm sure Brent's got the parts out there. It does have a sweet little sort of stamp of his logo on it. I dig this as well. If that camera's any good. Anyways, how this thing works is pretty ingenious. I like the idea of this because the strings rest across the top of the bar. So it's kind of cool. So what happens? It's the capo sort of, you can see. I'm going to put it in the other camera. You can see you just sort of push it in, and it raises the actual brass part of it. Okay. So what we'll do here. We'll put this thing on my steel. It's got these little adjustment tabs here just to help you to tighten that up. Now, this steel here is the lowest steel to the board's steel that I have. The strings aren't too far off the board. This one still works pretty good on this. It's designed to be put on so that the 2 tabs here are facing the nut on the actual steel. So let's throw it in here. Now, once again, this capo, this steel is the lowest one I've got. It's actually lower than it probably should be, but I just love the steel so much. I use it all the time. So this steel here is an open G, by the way. I'm going to put it at the 4th fret for this demo here, just to show, put it in B. I don't have a dobro, so this is as close to the dobro open G thing as we'll get. Okay, so this one doesn't need any adjusting right now at all because it's at the lowest point that it can be. Now we're in B. So pretty cool. I love the sustain of this thing. I've used the beards before. The beards are really nice as well. They have the little bone nut, but I like the sustain of the brass on this one. Okay, so stay tuned. We're going to take you through a couple of different steels here just to show you how flexible this is. I should note that this capo, according to Brent and his website, is good for any string heights between 5/16 and 15/16. I think that's 8 millimeters and 24 millimeters for you metric people out there. So between 5/16, 15/16. I'm going to move over to the next steel here shortly, and I'll show you how cool this thing is. Stay tuned. All right, so the next steel we have on the block here is my industrial Chris Folk over in Benton, Illinois. This is my signature freight train frying pan steel that Chris designed for me probably 20 years ago, kind of based on the old Rickenbacker frying pans. Now, this steel is the highest off the board string height that I have. So this is going to require the capo to be completely almost at its highest height. I don't know what the exact measurement is. I'm not a measurements guy. But what we're going to do, we just sort of take it, push it in, and then we'll use these set screws. You turn them counterclockwise. You just do this here to get it close, and then we can use the final adjustment on it. Sorry if I'm off the mic there. Okay, so this one, like I said, is super high. I'm just going to continue. Now, the only thing with this steel is, and this is a 7-string, the deck is a little bit wider, so for this particular capo, it's not the capo's fault, it's the guitar's fault. It's a little finicky to turn the set screws. It's just my steel, not the capo. It's a good idea. Now, the only suggestion I would have for this thing, my only thing so far, is that I sure would love to see these little brass ends on here with some type of knurl on it so that I can turn it easier. It's a very shiny brass thing, especially for the higher string levels. If it was kind of knurled, it would be an easier grip. It's just a small thing on my end. No big deal. I'm going to continue to tighten it just a little bit more. Like I said, this is the highest string gauge I've ever seen on string height I've seen on a steel. And I kind of like it too. It's just a little bit fidgety with the capo here, but anyways, okay, we're there. Same thing, we're at the 3rd fret here. Now this steel is tuned to open D, but I have the high 7-string set as an F sharp to give me the old country sound if I want it. So again, you can see the capo gives a beautiful amount of sustain. And I really do like the fact with this capo that you can do some behind the bar slants right on top of the actual capo, you know. It gives you that. You can't really do that with a beard capo. With this one, you can get the bar slant even at the 1st and 2nd fret. If you want that Hawaiian thing, right? So it's kind of handy as well. And I don't do a lot of these with this particular capo as opposed to the other ones. You can do some behind the bar string pulls. You know? Because the string's right on top of the brass piece, which acts as the nut. It makes it way easier to do those kind of... if you're into that sort of thing. I'm not proficient at it. I'm not a country guy. I'm more of a blues guy. Okay, stay tuned. All right, so here we get to the coolest part of this capo. So, Brent actually makes an 8-string capo for the 8-string lap steels. Now, I'm not sure because the neck decks are all different widths, but the one he sent me for the 6-string here actually works on my 8-string, so I'm killing a whole bunch of birds here with one stone, which is kind of cool. Now, you may want to check in with Brent about that because I'm not sure, but he does make an 8-string capo. This one does work on my 8-string, and I'll show you. Same thing now. Now, of course, because the deck's a little bit narrower, it's easier to get to the adjustment screws here. Okay, and you don't have to tighten these up too much. With that brass nut, it just kind of lifts the string off gently and works as it should. Okay. Now, this steel is tuned to an E9. I'm not awesomely proficient in E9, but I love the sound of it. All right, I'm just going to take that up a couple of frets. Very handy, very easy. And again, lots of sustain on that. So I love this capo just for that alone. All right, we're going to do one more guitar. I'll just go to my trusty Weissenborn. I don't have a dobro, but this works just as well on the Weissenborn too. Stay tuned. All right, so we're down to the final guitar here. So I used this on the Weissenborn last night, and I really, really loved it because it gave me even more sustain than some of the bone cables that I have. Now again, this is a gold tone, or no, not a gold tone. This is an Anderton, deep-bodied Weissenborn. Strings are pretty low to the board on this too, so it won't take much adjustment. I'm going to take this one up to the 5th fret just to get sort of high. Just slides underneath there gently. Now, one thing about this capo, because it's resting on the top, you do have to maybe just tighten the low string up just a touch so you don't get flop on the actual brass bar. All right, folks, so that is a run through of the Hannah Guitars Strut Capo. Awesome tool. It's going to be my go-to capo from here on in, I believe. Again, small, compact. Works on all my steels, all the way from a 6-string to an 8-string. Be great for the dobro. Certainly works well on the Weissenborn. Just a well-made capo, ingenious invention. And I'm kind of excited about this because I don't do a lot of capoing on the lap steels, but it allows me to discover some new tone qualities while I'm capoing up. So I hope I was helpful with this review here. Hannah Guitars Strut Capo, Beaumont, Alberta, Canada. He's quick, man. He reached out to me and I got this thing 3 days later. Super cool individual. I'm happy to have met him and stumbling around here on the internet. HannahGuitars.com. Go check him out. And stay tuned, folks. We'll see you soon.